Welcome back, everyone. I'm Cam Graham.
Hey, hit him with a proper intro because I had to text him to you. You know what I'm saying?
I waited. I think they've seen everything, Shane.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
All right.
Shane trying to be tech person again, but welcome back, everybody. I'm to the next episode of the Cam and Collins Collective. I'm one of your co-hosts, Cam Graham, joined by my friend
Shane Collins.
And we're back here with some more fun content for you guys. I hope your guys' weeks have been good. I know mine has been, for the most part, pretty good. Shane, if you don't mind, I would like to do my rose, thorn, and bud first, just because
Please.
They're popping. So as far as a rose, I had three of my classes in this week. And for screenwriting, I'm in a screenwriting class. We were supposed to turn our scripts in person on Wednesday, but because of the whole like lockdown thing, he was like, just either mail them to me or drop it off at my house. And you can do that on the first. Yeah, it is kind of sus. My dad was like, "What?"
It seems kind of dangerous.
He was like,
I don't know.
Yeah, no. But he was like, either way, it's due the 14th instead of Wednesday was the 9th. So it's the 14th instead of the 9th. So I was like, cool. That gives me a couple extra days.
There you go.
As far as a thorn, with that said, my favorite class that I took this semester was my play direction class. I got to work with a teacher in the theater department. His name is Peruz Agsa, who I had never gotten the chance to work with and who I've literally admired since the day I stepped into Eastern. And the class was so fun, and I had friends in the class. And it was like it was play direction, but it was also kind of like an acting class. And it was just so much fun, and I miss it so much. He was like, everybody, we're gonna do our final scenes today, so you guys don't even have to come to the exam hour next week. And I was like, and in a way, like, that's cool. I get some extra time, but then, I'm gonna miss this class. I want to be doing astronomy stuff. I wish the astronomy teacher would make us like let us do our final this week, but it is what it is. And lastly, a bud one I'm looking forward to. A week from when you see this video on December 18th, 2020, Chadwick Boseman's final movie entitled Ma Rainey's Black Bottom debuts on Netflix. And I read Ma Rainey's Black Bottom 2 years ago, the play. And even before Boseman's casting or like more recently Boseman's death, I was already a fan of this play. So I'm just looking forward to the movie so much. It's produced by Denzel Washington again. Has Viola Davis as well, and it's gotten rave reviews, and I'm just looking forward to it. It's going to be bittersweet. It's kind of going to be his goodbye. At the same time, I'm looking forward to a great movie. That's what I'm looking forward to in a week's time. But Shane, hit me with yours.
Yeah. Rose, I am at the lowest weight I have been in several years.
Hey.
Recently came in. I'm weighing myself every week. This Monday I came in at 334. It was a long journey, so I'm down. At my highest, I was like 390. So I had some little cake, but everywhere. It's just body cake. That's nasty. I'm sorry. I don't know where I was going with that. I try to make it sound good. I remember, yeah. So it's good. It's nice to before I got the scale. It was kind of hard to know I was losing weight because there wasn't like a tangible thing to look at and be like, hey, you know, you just lost a couple, you know, you lost however many pounds. So I've been thriving with this scale. I'm holding myself accountable. Just, you know, trying to make myself, you know, trying to feel better, look better. You know what I'm saying? Just all of that. So that's fire. Um, I for my Thorn, English English class with Mattel this semester. Yeah, it's, you know, it's looking a little suspect. Um, it, it this so it's kind of bittersweet, right? I'm at the lowest weight I've been in, you know, years, but this year is also just a generally rough mental health semester. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I was dealing with that. You know, I also got this going for me, so that's cool. You know, I'm not gonna stop my college grind. I'm still, you know, still pursuing college. It's just, you know, temporary setback in the grand scheme of things. Um, but I'm also looking forward to that movie. I want to say Viola Davis, a queen. I feel like she just transforms herself. Just
Mhm.
every role she's in, like it's just, oh, um, Chadwick, R.I.P. Gone way too soon. Um, but he's gonna live on he's gonna live on forever. He's iconic.
Yeah.
Um, you know, throughout his career, he did nothing but iconic roles. You know what I'm saying? It's just so. Looking forward to that. Uh, yeah, man. That's pretty much it. You know what I'm saying? Stuff. You know, stuff looking pretty solid right now. Just solid.
Yeah. It's yeah. It's been we're moving through. It's I think we have the weird experience of being college students during a pandemic. Not saying that like high school students are having it weird or middle school or elementary school, but like I don't know, it's kind of weird being a college student. And
We just at a different point in life right now. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, yeah. But they're trying to make that transition. We're slowly making that transition between like childhood and adulthood too, you know, because once we're out of college, you know, we're out there. Um, and me being towards the end of my college career, it is kind of weird. But a vaccine has come out, um, which I believe makes you at least like 55% immune to the disease. Which is a
I
step
heard.
which is a step forward, a great step. People were on the news crying about it. It's been a long struggle. It's one of those things that we're gonna talk to our kids about one day. You know, if we have them, we'll be like, bro, back in 2020, we couldn't go
Yeah.
anywhere. But yeah, I hope you guys keep staying safe until we can really figure out how this stuff is going.
Do your own research. You know, just
Yeah.
stay in the loop. Uh, don't be a social media researcher. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
You're not gonna find nothing but propaganda and baloney on there. So
Yeah.
yeah, just please stay smart and stay safe about it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. All right. So for this week's top five ranking, me and Shane, we were discussing what we wanted to do for this segment, and we came across um DreamWorks animation. Now, a lot of these movies now they have kind of slumped in the last couple of years, and Pixar is, you know, Disney associated, so I mean they kind of have a chokehold on everything.
Yeah, that's tough.
But like what we didn't realize before we started really looking at the list is that like DreamWorks has some classics, like a lot of classics. Like some of my favorite movies when I was a kid, even more than some of the Pixar movies.
How's that?
Um, and so me and Shane decided to rank our top five. Now, unlike the last two that we've done, this one includes some honorable mentions, which we will get to we will get to later, but it was just so difficult to take this like group of movies and compact it into a list of our 5 favorites.
Yeah,
It's just so
man.
difficult. There's so many good ones, and even the ones that aren't in my top 5, I'm just gonna say right now, a lot of them I just love, regardless. Even if they're not in my top 5, they're still classics to me.
All of them at least have like a significant part of my life. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Whether they make my like 5 list, but yeah, for sure.
yeah. So, me and Shane will go back and forth with each number. Um, Shane, since I took first on Rose, Thorn, and Bud, I'm gonna let you hit us with your number 5 first.
Yes, sir. Okay, number 5, probably a lot of people's. I don't know. But I don't know if it's a lot of people's anybody or anything. I feel like it kind of came up and it kind of got washed away, and it wasn't that it was a bad movie. It just kind of came out at a time that it just didn't get a lot of recognition. My number 5 is Rise of the Guardians. I went and saw this. With my sister and my dad. Saying my pops, and I it it was just it's almost a guilty pleasure number 5. Like it wasn't. I don't know. The characters were cool. Hugh Jackman voiced the Easter Bunny. You know what I'm saying? I remember that for sure. Uh, Low key, don't remember all. I mean, no, that's not true. I remember some of the movie. It was just not incredibly significant, but it struck me like in a place where I feel like I like it more than the average watcher of the movie. The villain was pretty cool. He was like going in and giving everybody nightmares, and the Sandman fought him and stuff, and right. For those of y'all who don't know, right, Rise of the Guardians is essentially low key. Don't know how they come up with this concept. It's cool though. It's like all the fictional. So we got Santa Claus. You know what I'm saying? The Easter Bunny, Sandman. Uh, uh, I want to say the Tooth Fairy. Uh, so and then the main character was Jack Frost. Um, yeah, I don't really remember a lot of Jack Frost. He was never really like the reason I like the movie a lot. The Sandman, he didn't talk a lot or at all, low key, and I just like he was a short little homie. I just like the animation. It was just kind of struck my heart in the right way. There's better movies than it, but low key not enough to make my top 5. Like Cameron said, it's plenty of honorable mentions, but I don't know. It just I think because it kind of rubbed me in a way that it didn't hit a lot of other people. That's my number 5.
All right.
Okay.
All right. So my number 5. I feel like it was another movie. From Dreamworks that I feel kind of got overshadowed to a certain degree. Even though it's probably more popular than Rise of the Guardians, just kind of like cult following, I guess. It is another Hugh Jackman classic. Called Flushed Away. Um, I I remember loving this movie. This is one of I think this is I don't know. As a 6-year-old, you don't really get exposed. I wasn't Not that I wasn't exposed, but I hadn't really lived long enough to really see a whole bunch of other cultures and a whole bunch of other people. I don't think I had honestly 6 years old. I was like first grade. I don't think I had met a British person yet. Honestly, I think the first British person I met was in elementary school. So I just like I remember like Kate Winslet and Hugh Jackman and everything, and I just remember liking the way they spoke. It was like these rats who were like a rat is inherently kind of nasty, right? But I just like they were just so cool to me. Um, like Shane was saying with Rise of the Guardians, I really don't super remember this movie. I remember it had to do something with them in a sewer, and they were getting flushed away. I think one was a pet or something.
Yeah.
I really don't remember. I just remember that see, this is why it doesn't rank higher. I think if I would have remembered more, it
Yeah.
would have been higher. I just remember enjoying it so much, and it was just really, really fun for me. And the voice acting was great. Um, and and yeah, I guess that's all I gotta say about Flushed Away. Um,
That's right.
so number 4, Shane.
Yeah. And I wanna do a quick like side note. Me and Cameron briefly talked about it. Like, there's and especially, a lot of these lists is, this one, if we were to look at Pixar, if we were to look at Disney, things to consider for people. Um, I I don't think I'm gonna just put it out there. I don't think the B movie is on Cameron's list. I don't know his list yet. I hope it's not. That said, like, I know it came up and everything. That like I don't want people to confuse nostalgia for a good movie. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I remember a lot. Like, it hit me in a lot. A lot of stuff hit me at the time, but it don't mean it was good. Um, I, kind of a side note, but leading back to what we was talking about, there is a movie that that is for sure that would for sure replace my top 5, or at least my number 5 spot. I totally forgot about it until we started talking. So I'll just throw it in my honorable mentions. So we don't get too sidetracked with it.
Mm-hmm.
So my number 4 is How to Train Your Dragon. I was a big fan of this movie. Um, I don't remember who the voice actor was for my boy. Low key, don't remember a lot of their names either. I remember the show. It was Toothless, and Toothless was the homie. He looked mad cool. I wanted a pet dragon at the time. That would have been fire, no pun intended. And he was Toothless was just he was like a dog, bro, but he was a dragon. He was a dragon. Um, I have an opinion that movies, TVs, film only as strong as the opposition. Um, and How to Train Your Dragon, like, I know they had like the two, like the alpha and the beta dragons, I guess, and they was the real big ones. And it was a white one versus like a black one. And of course they made the black one evil, but that's a story
Yeah.
for another day. But the bad guys kind of like won. Or not necessarily won, but like it was I don't know, it wasn't like a completely happy ending. You know what I'm saying? My boy, I just remember he got a peg leg, so I'm gonna call him Peg Leg. My boy Peg Leg got a peg leg. he lost his leg during the final fight. Um, the side characters, I remember the chunky homie. Him and his dragon were cool. The dragon, it was kind of just dopey. And I was like, yeah, okay, I get it. He just chilling. He just wants some food. He just wants some sheep. So yeah, I mean, How to Train Your Dragon, it was solid, and it was I could go back and watch it and enjoy it now. Like, it's not something where I could like watch it like back to back. You know what I'm saying? But with some time in between, I'm like, hell yeah, it's a solid movie, bro. It's a solid movie. So I don't know. It was this really, really my 5 and 4. My 4 is just overall better than my 5. But I mean, they were both good. I just nothing incredibly, outstanding about them as opposed to my top 3. So that said, Cameron, hit me with your number 4, my boy.
All right. my number 4 is a classic. So much of a classic that when the movie came out, I don't even think I was born. Okay, the movie came out June in the United States, June 23rd, 2000. So I was a couple of months old. I was born in February 3rd. I was a couple of months old when this movie came out. It is a stop motion animated movie by the name of Chicken Run. This movie, I have seen this movie. The movie isn't very, by like today's standards, the movie isn't very long. It's like an hour and like 20 something minutes. So when I was younger, like between the ages of like 4 and 6, I used to watch this movie like a lot because it was easy to watch in one sitting, especially for my parents because they didn't feel like sitting up watching like a 2-hour movie. This this and I know this has been done more now, but like at the time, for me, and I'm sure with other people too, the 3D stop motion animation blew my mind. I was like, how do they get them to look like they're like clay, but they're moving and animated? I don't know. It was so cool. There was the general premise of Chicken Run is that these chickens got to escape because these chickens are like, we're gonna if we stay here, we're gonna be made into chicken pies by the Tweety. So we got to get out of here. And a rooster by the name of Rocky Rhodes, who's a circus rooster, he crash lands on the farm, and he's like, well, you guys are gonna let them like turn you into like chicken pie like this? No, we're gonna get out of here. And they all team up and band behind this one guy in order to survive. This was so like there's certain movies like that I remember, and like Shane made a good point that nostalgia doesn't necessarily equal the movie being good. But this is one of those movies that's like when I think about animation and I think about animated movies and kids movies in my life, this is one that just keeps popping up. It's so good, and it's so creative, and it's so funny, and like it's it's just the premise is silly, but it's just so like I don't know. The premise is silly, but it even as a 20-year-old man, it's still something that I could see myself going back and watching now. I love this movie with all of my heart. All right, so that's Chicken Run, number 4. Shane, you're number 3.
All right, we hopping right into it. My number 3 is Shrek 2. All right, y'all. Shrek 2 was the most fire Shrek movie of all the Shrek movies. No, like, there shouldn't even be dispute about it. I believe the first Shrek was necessary. It wasn't bad. I think it was necessary to the story. But they were in their bag with Shrek 2. The music, the action sequences, giant gingerbread man. Oh my god! It was just that was I need a hero. That was just oh my gosh! When he we all know this. I know what's crazy, Cameron. The all-star what I think the song is called All Star and the band is called Smash Mouth. That song that's somebody wants okay that's the first one, right?
Yeah,
it was popping for a minute and that was just like it was the stupidest humor. Like I don't know why y'all brought that back. You know what I'm saying? I was sitting there like why y'all really putting on for this song like it was cold? Like, hey, now you're a rock star, get your game on, go play, bro.
I low-key hate that song. I can't listen to it.
High key. Yeah, bro. I don't know. The populace ruined it for me. But Shrek 2, um, Donkey, one of the best characters in DreamWorks, period. Voiced by Eddie Murphy. He's a legend. So Shrek 2 coming in at my number 3 spot. They was just in their bag when they made Shrek 2. Everything else after that, mediocre, or if not trash.
All right. My number 3 is another essential viewing in my life and in my childhood. It is a movie by the name of Kung Fu Panda. Now, I this movie was one that this was one of the first movies I remember watching and being emotionally invested in it. Like I really related to Poe in a lot of ways.
Dirty at the beginning, bro.
Yeah, it's just like
that was really treating him like filthy.
Yeah, just like this guy, he's not the most athletic, he's not the smartest, he's not the quickest. At the same time, he's chosen, and that confused everybody. They were like, but like, this guy, really? And I remember I rooted for him so hard when I was a kid. Like, so hard. I wanted him to do well. And I just think the whole the whole crew of animals, you got Tigress, Angelina Jolie, and Tai Lung, by the way, which I think is a very underrated villain.
Yeah, animation. I'm not gonna lie. Don't say too much, because this is also on my list. But so just relax on the audience. I don't want to be left with nothing here. With breadcrumbs.
But yes, Tai Lung, great villain. Ending, great. It's just so many things together that made this movie so good for me. And I think it was the thing that made me like Jack Black. I think ever since Kung Fu Panda, Jack Black is. Well, I mean, it depends on when I saw it.
Did you see School of Rock?
Yeah, but I think I was a little young to be like the kids around. The kids doing the stuff in that movie was what I enjoyed about it. But I don't know if my parents really liked me watching School of Rock because of the profanity and everything.
For sure.
Like, you're a little young for that. But great movie. If it's on Shane's list, I'm not gonna talk more about it. Great voice acting, great cast, great story, emotional investment, underdog hero makes it a fantastic movie in my number 3. So
lovely. All right, brother. All right. My number 2. This movie, it was one of my favorites when I was like just a wee one, bro. Ever since a little kid. So a lot, I'm always gonna be invested if the main character is an animal. When I was little, I wanted to, before, I got older and I was like, this, it's not humane, you know what I'm saying? I wanted to be a zookeeper when I was little. I was obsessed with animals. Zookeeper sound trash. I wanted to work with animals in a zoo. I think I'm still in love with animals. I got more of a sense of danger now. So I'm not gonna be reckless out there. I'm deeply scared of the ocean, or just generally, like I'm really just scared of like looking down and just seeing nothing but blue. Like that would be the most terrifying thing in my entire. We're not gonna get into that because that's not my. Anywho, all that said, my number 2 spot. I believe the movie dropped 2002. It's called Spirit. Spirit is about a young, rambunctious, strong Mustang. It might be a stallion. It's a stallion. I'm tripping. Hey, I don't know my horses like that. I'm talking about I love animals and all. Okay, all right. Anywho, so Spirit. What's funny is they list Matt Damon as the voice actor for Spirit, but and that's confusing because he doesn't speak once in the movie. So I don't know if that's like a publicity thing. You know, I don't know. I Spirit got essentially he either I don't it's been a while since I've watched it, I'm gonna be honest. And part of this is nostalgia, but part of it was just a really fire movie. Like I know what I said earlier. But this of all of these, this is probably the most nostalgic pick of mine. But it was one of my favorites. It was dealing with him on the early American frontier. Um, he gets captured by these by the whites. You know what I'm saying? And they try to tame him. They try to tame him. And they also have captive a young indigenous persons. I don't remember what their name is, but they was both young, strong-willed, like stubborn-headed. You know what I'm saying? So when they first met each other, they had a common enemy. That the common enemy was the white man, and they eventually got away from them. And it kind of just tells about how how Spirit ends up getting away, how he operates through life, falls in love, and eventually makes it back to his herd or whatever. But it's just a really beautiful story. I believe the animation for Spirit is just one of the most beautiful things I've seen. And it's always gonna have a place in my heart. So yeah, bro, that Spirit comes in at my number 2.
All right. So my number 2 is one that Shane has actually mentioned already. Mine is Shrek 2. Now, it is very, in my personal opinion, and you may disagree with this, whoever, any of the viewers, Shane, I think it is very rare that when you make a movie and it's great and like critically acclaimed and like innovative, I think it's very rare that you can make a sequel and it be just as good. Most sequels to most of the movies that I've seen have been worse than the first movie.
That's like a thing, you know what I mean? Like I feel like notoriously sequels have been worse than the original, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think sequels have a habit of taking what worked in the first movie and then stretching it to a degree where it kind of breaks it. I think Shrek 2, out of the sequels to the movies that I've seen, I think Shrek 2 is not only a sequel that I like better, but I would even argue that the premise of this movie is more original than the premise of the first. It's very multifaceted. You got the dynamic of the guy meeting the parents of the meeting parents who disapprove of him. Okay, first off, the music itself, the soundtrack is it starts off with Accidentally in Love. So I think the music over the course of the movie is just fantastic. And
then I forget they go into the when they're in the carriage, they go ding 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 ding. That's my joint right there. Oh, you're totally right. That soundtrack was too fire, bro.
And then the stakes are just so much higher. It's like not only does he have to impress he's in danger of losing the woman that he loves on two fronts, because they transform into humans because he believes that she isn't going to love him if he doesn't look like she used to. Which ties into Shrek. Shrek on the surface is just like a grumpy ogre, but he really does kind of have a heart. He loves this girl, but he's never felt in his heart that he's good enough for her. So he's always overcompensating for her love, and it ends up causing a bunch of things to happen when Prince Charming tricks her into. It's just, I don't know. And just a sequence of him trying to rush Donkey and Shrek rushing to the castle to stop Princess Fiona's wedding. It's just so multifaceted, so great. The Fairly Godmother, who I would have never thought to be like a villainous type person.
Yeah.
Fantastic villain.
Hey.
It's it's just so great. I could sit and talk about it like forever, but I would just be repeating myself. I think this is one of the best sequels to any movie I've ever seen in my life, and I love it so much. Side mention, the Far Far Away Idol on the Shrek 2 DVD, fantastic. I used to watch that. Watched it and did every possible scenario that you could, and then over again, just because of how much I liked it. It was so much fun. But yes, that is my number 2. So Shane,
Yeah. Yeah. You're right, bro. That the soundtrack was probably one of the better ones. Just period. Soundtrack was incredible. Yeah, bro. And like you said, like it might just be one of the best sequels. Period. Like not in animation, not like in DreamWorks. Just it's one of the few sequels where you can truly be like the second was better than the first. So yeah, I'm totally with you on that one. So yeah, y'all, we gonna do some honorable mentions now before we get to the number 1 spot. Because DreamWorks just had too many classics, like we said. So, my first honorable mention. Okay, I told Cameron we were gonna have 3, but something came to my mind as we were talking, so I have a surprise number 4. My number 3 is Madagascar. Or my first honorable mention is Madagascar. Let's see, Ben Stiller, Chris Rock. That's a dynamic duo. I'm not gonna lie. That they just meshed so well. The music was great. Again, had to do with animals, so I was already invested in it. So I loved Madagascar. It has a warm place in my heart, and it's one of the more iconic ones, I think. Another honorable mention, The Croods. The Croods came out a little bit later. I watched this one with my sister and my pops. And Croods, it was cool. It was like it was exploring the life of these cavemen. You know what I'm saying? And one was trying to be more progressive, live outside the wall. You know what I'm saying? The other was like, no, we're gonna stick to what we know, and that's how we survive. And the other was like, you know what I'm saying? I'm not just trying to survive, I'm trying to live. That was basically the premise of that movie. Another honorable mention, Shark Tale. Do I have to say a lot? Will Smith, I have to say a lot, you know what I'm saying? Iconic. The 2 jellyfish, those were 2 of my favorite characters. So yeah, that was fire. Shark Tale. And it's been a minute since I watched it, so I gotta go back, actually watch a lot of these. And I'm gonna be honest, Garrett. In some of these animations, the cartoons, right? As a little homie, you're like, hey, yo, that fish kind of cute, bro. I'm not gonna lie, You can't tell me it's not cartoon females that you was like.
I mean, as much as I probably don't want to admit it. That's true. Yeah.
everybody had a cartoon crush, even if it was a fish, a cat. You know what I'm saying? If they
Yeah, I
look
remember really
good.
liking Brandy from Brandy and Mr. Whiskers.
Oh my, you're gross. You're gross. You're gross. You're
Oh,
gross.
so
You're
you can
gross.
have a crush on a fish, but I can't have a crush on a rabbit?
Okay, but the fish was looking a lot better than the rabbit. No cap. No cap. I'm just letting you know.
I don't know if I agree with that, but
Bro, yeah, agree to disagree then. Okay. So my surprise number 4 honorable mention, and I probably would have plugged this into my number 5 somewhere if I had thought about it sooner. Wallace and Gromit. Curse of the Were Rabbit. Oh, so Cameron touched a little bit on stop animation earlier. Stop animation, I think, is one of the most, that takes time, son. That's got to be thousands of hours of dedication. Wallace and Gromit, I remember since a little kid, has always been iconic. We got oh my gosh, and Curse of the Were Rabbit was they just this was another one of those nostalgia movies. It's always gonna, whenever I see it, whenever it comes on, it's always gonna get watched completely through. Never gonna skip it. It's just one of my favorite. I can always go back to Wallace and Gromit because I think I really like, I can really appreciate stop animation, and that's just it was just one of the fire joints. So yeah, that's my surprise number 4 honorable mention. Cameron, put me here.
Okay, I'll run through mine real quick. So my 4, in no particular order, but just 4 that I really do enjoy. How to Train Your Dragon. I do admit that I did come to like this movie a lot more as I got older. I think when the movie first came out, I was kind of in my angst. I was beginning my angst phase, so I was like, I don't want to watch a movie about a dragon. But then when I finally sat down and watched it, I was like, this is kind of good.
I want a movie about a dragon.
I was like, no, I'm too old to watch movies about dragons. Then The Prince of Egypt, which is one of the very first DreamWorks animation movies. My parents loved watching this movie with me. I watched it with I even watched it with my grandparents. This was a really really cool, and it's one of the few biblical movies that had the people actually, despite the voice actors mostly being white, it was one of the first to have them actually be somewhat not like white skinned,
Yeah.
which isn't up. Also very good movie, very touching, great animation, great score, soundtrack. Another one, Shark Tale. Will Smith was my dude when I was younger. I think he was a lot of ours. And still is. Very good movie. I like then they had the car wash theme. Wasn't that one of the songs in the
Yeah.
Yeah, I had that song on repeat when I got the CD. Which my mom thought was very funny because Car Wash is a blaxploitation movie from the 70s. That they took that song from, which is like rated R. And she just thought it was so funny that I was listening to that song, something that was from like when she was like 8 years old. And then lastly, Megamind. That movie, I think Megamind is the last DreamWorks animation movie that I really, 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 really liked. I saw that at a birthday party. It was cool seeing like it's a sympathetic villain. I don't know. Those always hit me a certain way. It's just seeing someone differently, society judging someone, seeing them differently than they really are. And cool animation, cool voice acting. I thought it was really cool. And I'm always a sucker for animated superhero movies. And that's probably because of The Incredibles, but at the same time, cool movie.
Hey, we'll get to Incredible sometime too, because
Yeah,
hey,
sometime in the future, we're gonna have to talk about that.
for sure.
All right, for your number one.
My number one. All right. It was Cameron's number 3. It's my number one. Without further ado, Kung Fu Panda. It's out on the table. Okay, we established I love animal characters. We got animal characters. A1 voice acting. I mean the cast. Okay, Jack Black, Jackie Chan, Angelina Jolie, Dustin Hoffman as my boy Master Shifu, Seth Rogen as Mantis. So superstar cast, and Jack Black, of course, who is an inspiration of mine. I think Jack Black is one of the coolest human beings on earth. We got animals, voice acting, fighting action. You know, every that's. I mean, what more can you ask for as a little homie? You know what I'm saying? Kung Fu Panda. I've always been a big homie. You know what I'm saying? Y'all see me. Y'all see the body. You know what I'm saying? Y'all see me. I take up the whole screen. You know what I'm saying? Of course, you know, nobody suspected him, and he got there in such an unorthodox way. He was just trying to see who was gonna become Dragon Warrior. He ended up getting flung over the fence or over the wall, and and Cameron touched on it. They did him. They was doing him dirty. And then you know they were finding spots where they were like, oh, he might be onto something. When I believe it was Master Shifu who found him in the kitchen, but he was hitting that perfect split just because he had to get those cookies. And I was like, oh man. So we got a big homie who's incredibly athletic. And that's like, you know, my boy Poe can do it. Anybody can do it. And it's so cool. Like, I don't like pandas in a general sense. I think they're overrated, and we can get to that another time. But Kung Fu Panda, Poe, I mean, he didn't have a diet of just bamboo. He was eating ramen. He was eating noodles. It was so cool, and I guess I didn't realize this until I got older. But like each of the characters, Tigress, Mantis, Crane, Monkey, Viper, they're all different martial arts like styles, and that's so incredibly cool that they were able to they were like, yo, we're gonna take these styles, personify them, and we're gonna have them some of the best just fight scenes I've seen in my whole life. Some of the most entertaining fight scenes you've ever seen in your life. Tai Lung, probably, I have to agree with Cameron, one of the most underrated villains, period. He was gold. Bro, when he was escaping the Rhino prison, bro, and he was hitting up them rocks, bro, and then he was just whooping tail, and how he handled the entire Furious Five. That fight scene on the bridge was iconic. It just, the whole movie is just like start to finish one of the best, period, one of the best films I've ever seen in my whole life. And it's one of those movies I wish if I could go back and see it for the first time again, I wish I could have. Tai Lung great, Shifu great, Master Oogway, there is no mistakes. You know what I'm saying? that was hella, you know, that was not, I'm sure that was not the exact line, but start to finish, I believe it was just almost a perfect movie. I damn near could say it was a perfect trilogy. So my number one spot, I have Kung Fu Panda.
All right, my number one was one of Shane's honorable mentions. Wallace and Gromit: The Curse of the Were-Rabbit. No, I think I personally I just really love stop motion claymation animation. Um,
Yeah.
this movie has personal significance and just like significance in what it means. My mom took me to see this movie when I was 5. I think it's one of my earliest memories of, not necessarily one of my earliest memories of seeing a movie, but one of my earliest memories of being in a movie theater. Like I remember reacting with my mom to certain things that would happen in that movie. I think being there with my mom is maybe one of my greatest memories with my mom. Um like up until now. Um that movie captured my 5-year-old brain so hard that I guess 15 years later I'm a film major. It's one of the movies that made me want to go into the career that I want to go into. Um, it's so endearing. The score, it didn't really have a soundtrack as much as a musical or orchestral score. Um, the score was just so endearing. The characters were just so lovable and just kind. I think there was like a Wallace is the human, right? Grumman is the dog. It's been a while since I've seen it. But Wallace has a crush on this one woman, and then there's this rich guy that she's dating and everything, and he's kind of a dick. And um it's like he's he's flawless. He's kind of like a perfect person, but not in a way that's like bad, you know? Sometimes you look at people who create like perfect characters and you're like, okay, that's just kind of lazy because no one's perfect. But
Yeah.
I think given the medium and then just given the story, it just works so well. How this like super nice guy could turn into this monster rabbit. Um, and I just think there's a point. There's a point, not to spoil anything, but there's a point towards the end of the movie where you think someone dies. Um, and I remember being with my mom, and she was like, "Oh, don't kill him. Oh, don't do that." And I think that sticks in my mom having that much of a, because usually after that my mom just goes to movie theaters and falls asleep. But her being emotionally invested in like that one moment as I was as a child to my head. I really do love this movie. And I'm probably gonna always love it. And if I can, I have the DVD. I might just pop it in and watch it again soon. After finals, of course.
I'm mad. I laugh because my dad. he there's a couple he stays up through, but he be slumped 30 minutes in. I'm like, Dad, bro, like, all right, hey, we still here. We we got our popcorn. I guess we set. He basically, it's like, I don't know. It's like daycare almost. Like he takes us there, but he's not really in attendance. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like we're there and we're just watching the movie, and he's just like perfect time to get some rest.
Yeah, they get us our little snacks and we're eating and we're watching the movie and everything. Okay.
We got nothing else to worry about at that point.
My mom started making a joke out of it, so she would start bringing like a blanket with her.
Man.
I went to see Fences. One quick story before we move on. My mom took me to see Fences on my birthday when I was 16. And she was like, get whatever you want from the concession stand. And I was like, oh, really? So I spent like $20 worth of like money on like food and everything. I got candy, I got popcorn, I got nachos, I got cotton candy, I got a big drink, I got a freeze, just over the top everything. I was like drowned in stuff and everything. And we were sitting during the previews, and I was just like, and the movie started, and I was invested, right? I was drinking and eating, and then this big scene popped up, and I was like, "Whoa, and she was knocked out, like mouth open, knocked out, and I was like, "Okay." And
Oh
she
man.
didn't wake, and I don't think she woke back up. I think I woke her up at the end. It's like, all right, mom, it's over. She's like, you let me sleep through the.
Oh, okay. Hey, I was just about to get you that. You know what's trash is my dad. I'm like, my dad loves that. I swear bro, he's such a punk. He wake up talking about, hey, that was a good movie. I'm like, Dad, I saw you sleep, bro. Like, and he did it like it's even worse at home. Like when we're at home and we're watching the movie, he'll wake up and be like, oh, hey, that was a good one. I'm like, doggone well, you only saw 15 minutes, your eyes were shut. Don't play me like that. Don't play me like a fool. Man. Oh man.
All right. So this week, we have watched the next episode of HBO's Lovecraft Country. A quick recap from where we left off last week. Atticus Ross, Korean war vet. He comes back. He's looking for his father. He meets up with his Uncle George and a childhood friend by the name of Letitia. And they go down south, have some run-in with some racist people who then get murdered viciously by some monsters. And they're like, oh, well, that's weird. But they get called off. And then they go over to this mansion. These super blue-eyed blonde white dude opens the door. He says, Atticus? Or he says, Mr. Friedman? Not Atticus Ross, Friedman. He says, Mr. Friedman, we've been expecting you. That's how the first episode ends. Second episode opens.
Can I right away before we move on from it was something I forgot to say last week. I'm sure he was living. The wife seemed happy, the daughter seemed happy. You know what I'm saying? But my boy, Uncle George, my boy was sloppy lip McGee. I'm not gonna lie, kissing his wife. I was like, golly, that look gross. I don't know. I don't know. He got more experience than me. Shit. So I guess he was doing something right. I just wanted to point that out. It's all love to Uncle Joe though, or Uncle Joe. Uncle George. It's all love to that boy. He was great actor too. So I just side note, it's something stupid.
Yeah.
And I want to cut you off again. To kick off, starting about the second episode, I'd like to say, when I say white devil, this is the embodiment of when I say white devil, this is what I picture in my head. The homie who opened the door, old girl that we saw in the first episode pull up in the silver stallion, you know what I'm saying? She pulled up. When I say white devil, y'all, I'm joking, but if I don't envision this, blue as can be, icy blonde hair. Hey, so that's how we starting off, man.
Yeah, it's very spooky looking. Now, we first start off with this. Now, this mansion is still a mansion, right? So it's kind of like paradise. Letitia is in the room trying out all these clothes, all these beautiful clothes that fit her perfectly. George is in his room, all these great books he's enjoying reading. It's like, oh my goodness, I got all my favorite literature here. They're over there dancing, boogieing to the Jeffersons theme song. And another room, Atticus having flashbacks to the monsters biting the heads off of the cops. He can't enjoy himself because he's traumatized. And there's like a kind of like fire alarm thing. And then they all come out of their rooms. And they're like, what's going on? Like, you hear that? And then Like, it doesn't seem like an alarm. Letitia's in a whole new wardrobe type thing. The white dude whose name is William, he comes up and he's like, "Hey guys, um, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to alarm you. Your lunch is just ready." And then like in that tone, super spooky, does not blink.
Why is it like a robot?
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. 1 second. My mom was calling. Yes, mom. I'm doing something. I think so. Yeah. My mom, ladies and gentlemen.
Shout out to her. Hey, shout out to you know, shout out to Mrs. Graham. You know, same one time. Okay.
But okay. So white dude, super blue eyes, super blonde hair, does not blink. He's like, "Hey, let me like walk you guys over to like your brunch and everything." And then Letitia is over here ringing for salt and everything. She's like, "You know they don't season their food. Let me spice this up a little bit and everything." And then Atticus is like, "Bro, why aren't you guys like? Didn't you know what just happened last night? Like, why are you guys acting like nothing happened?" And then she's like, "Well, I actually don't remember what happened last night." And then Atticus was like, "Uncle George?" And Uncle George was like, "The last thing I remember was getting up this morning." And then Atticus is going on. There were monsters and everything. I had to shoot a cop. There was all this other stuff, and then was in the woods. They were doing all this blah 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 blah. And he's getting hyped up, which of course you would. And then George is like, "Huh?"
I said rightfully so. Yeah.
Yeah. And then George is like, "All right, they're starting to look. You need to calm down." And then he takes a seat and he's like, "Oh, okay." Um, and they eat their lunch. Wow. The spooky William White dude who opened the door watches them ominously from a window. Just spooky in of itself. Now, you might have to help me out, Shane. After that, I believe they go back in and they speak to. It either happened like before this or after, before breakfast or after. They're talking to William, and William is kind of telling them the history of the building. He said how like the building originally got burned down. They're in a replica.
Yeah.
I'm on the right track.
Yes, I could have no, because the episode opened with them singing, right? It was either at the beginning, like when they were like coming in. No, you're right. I think you should be on track.
Yeah.
Okay.
This episode was structured. It wasn't like it was structured poorly, but it was structured in a way where you come away confused. We'll get to that in a second. He was telling them the history. The building got burned down. And he said he implied. He didn't straight up say that like the guy who used to own it like owned slaves. He said he made his money through shipping. And Letitia was like, okay, that's obviously a code word for slaves. And then he said one of the most sus things that I've heard on this show so far. He said, Mr. Braithwaite, who is apparently the owner of this mansion or this plantation, because that's what it is. Said Mr. Braithwaite was was notoriously generous to those who worked for him, which explains why Atticus is a descendant of these white people. And I think then some weird stuff happens. They're walking out and then they see the car that they were driving, and like The car is all repaired. It's not messed up like it was. If you remember from the last episode, Letitia drove it through the wall to kill a monster, knocked Uncle George completely unconscious. Now it's just all good, but it's missing. It is missing a window.
But that was the window that was like, it wasn't missing a window from it didn't come from the crash. Like everything was put back to where, like the car was repaired from everything that got damaged during the altercation with the monsters. But like I believe the back window got like shot out or something when they were being chased, when they stopped at that restaurant.
Yeah.
So everything was like back to normal. And remember, they still don't have their memory, so they're like, bro, like, what are you talking about? I thought you said the car crashed.
Yeah. Atticus is the only one who remembers anything. And then Atticus is like, white dude pops up again. He's like, can I help you guys? And Atticus is like, okay, we're leaving. So they start walking, just walking on the side of the road. They don't even take the car. They're like, this is sus. They start walking, then they hear that whistle. And like, that's the whistle that called off the monsters. And he runs at a lady who has the whistle. And she's blowing it. And he's like, hey, where did you get that whistle? Why are you using that whistle? And the lady is kind of like, she has two vicious dogs who she could just let go and like maul these people. And Atticus is like, he's panicking. So he's like, where did you get that whistle from? Were you in the woods last night? Were you in the woods last night? And then she's kind of like, who's this black guy? All races and everything. And they're kind of like, it's like, Uncle George is like, tell these dogs to shut up. I apologize. We're guests of Mr. Braithwaite. We're just trying to get back. Or we would just like to see what's in this building. They're in a prison. She's standing in front of a prison. She shows them. And Atticus is like, that's where they're keeping my dad. And then they walk back to the mansion through the woods. And it's getting dark outside.
They was talking about, you know what I'm saying, her like little thing about you know, they have a problem with pest. She said black bears, you know who that was. You know, she was saying they're clever, but or they're smart, but they're not smart, you know what I'm saying? They're clever, they're conniving, they're pests, they don't know when to stop. So it was like a lot of like underhanded language. When Atticus was kind of going crazy, she was like, my dogs are not the ones that should be on a leash right now. So just kind of stuff like that. It was just kind of like building tension.
It's like I like that, because it was like, even though like she was obviously in a position where she could hurt them, it's like, it was kind of like, okay, do something else and I'll let these go. It's like, I'm not gonna let them go yet. I'm just gonna let them bark at you. But if you come any closer, I'm gonna let them on you. And I just that created some tension. I was like, chill. So they're walking back through the woods. It's getting late. It's getting dark outside. They're talking about everything. And then stuff starts coming up through the ground. The monsters jump up. Two on each side. They're backed into each other's back. They have no weapons. They're good as dead.
An important thing to put in here is when they were walking, Uncle George was like, I remember what your mom told me about her heritage or whatever. And Atticus was like, my mom never told me nothing. And she said, I believe it was either her mother or her grandmother. She was a slave and she ran away after there was a fire. Now, this is important because earlier when he was introducing, I guess, them to the mansion or whatever, he said the one that we're in now is just a replica mansion. The original one got burned down. Putting two and two together.
Along with the comment of the master was notoriously generous to those who worked for him.
Yeah.
We come to the conclusion that his grandmother fled from the mansion after the fire while she was pregnant. And that's how her descendants have come to Atticus himself. And then the monsters pop up. They're about to kill. They're about to kill him. Then they hear the whistle again. Then the super blue-eyed white woman comes up on a horse, getting up.
You're
as well as the racist woman with the dogs. And they call him off with the whistle. And the blonde white woman is like, make sure they get back to the mansion safely. They take them back to the mansion. And they put them George and Letitia go back to their separate rooms. And Atticus goes and meets the woman's father, who's in the middle of a very gruesome surgery. He's over there screaming. I was like, what is going on? It's over there screaming.
I can just like imagine you watching movies and film or whatever. I just imagine you kind of like squirming at that. I know I was squirming. There was straight up organs coming out this man.
It looked like they took an entire organ out of his body. I was like, that's
and no pain medicine, just toughing it out. I'm like, bro, what kind of tough man shit is this?
And then at the same time, the girl, she's just chilling, drinking water. You know, like it's nothing. Like this is an everyday thing. We just take people's organs out over here. You know, it's no big deal. The guy taking the organs out is in a black kind of like cloak type thing. It's looking super ominous. Atticus is looking like,
what's going on?
Then I believe they stitched Did something happen? So they stitch him up. The surgery is finished, and then the guy gets up. First thing he says, Shane, he's darker than I expected him to be. First thing, I was like, oh my. Very first thing out of this dude's mouth. I was like, my goodness. My goodness.
They weren't playing with that. They weren't playing with it at all. Yeah, he was like, oh, it was so blatant. I was like, bro, you just gonna say that? Like I was like, dang, is it? Yeah, bro, I was mad bold.
This man is Samuel Braithwaite. He's a descendant. He's the oldest descendant of the original Braithwaite who owned the plantation. The super blonde white woman, her name is Caroline. She's his daughter. And Shane, I'll let you. This was a part of the story that did kind of confuse me. In a roundabout way, they kind of explained to Atticus that they're trying to live forever. They're trying to discover a method for immortality.
Yes, but you said he's trying to. Well, I guess in a sense, yes, but you know, the words were he's trying to make it back to paradise. I assume that means more immortality. But you know, they gave kind of a he gave a story. There was a painting, and the painting you know, had a biblical name to it, and it was essentially about Adam and Eve, and you know, they kind of give a kind of, like you said, a roundabout way of him saying Samuel Braithwaite. He you know, there was a conversation about Atticus was like, well, so in this story that you're telling me about, I'm assuming you're God. And they were talking about how they were basically saying, you know, everything is good till this woman came around and started tempting men, you know, all of that BS. And he was like, no, I'm Adam. So, you know, they're trying to make it back to paradise, whatever that means. And then Caroline walks back with Atticus to his room.
Yeah.
And she's saying, we're not all bad. You should try to ease up. My
I'm not
family's
racist.
it's not a I'm not I'm not racist. Not all the whites are out to get you. And you're like, yes they are.
That lovely argument that white people like to make from time to time, but continue.
Yeah, right. And he was like, yeah, all right. And I already got plenty friends. And she was like, well, what I'm saying, my family is not one you'd like to make enemies with. And that kind of exchange happened. And so I kind of explained it out of order. So then she was like, not all of the whites are trying to go for you. I keep saying the whites. It's hilarious. He's like, okay, so if we're friends, remove the spell from Uncle George and Letitia.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of stagnant. He was like, cool. And then she was like, fine. So she removed it. And almost instantly, you hear screaming. And it's Letitia screaming. And Atticus rushes to the door, but he's stopped. And there's a magical barricade.
Yeah.
That he goes to. And then door shut.
Hey, sorry for cutting you off.
Are you good? Door shuts and then some crazy stuff pops up.
You basically see what both. There's three. Atticus, George, and Letitia kind of experience their own kind of like nightmarish type reality. Certain things from their past pop up, or certain elements of their past pops up to kind of scare them.
Yeah.
Uncle George, I believe, is visited by a dead ex-wife.
Yeah, I think so.
Who he's like, well, you're obviously not real. But she's like, well, dance with me anyways. It's kind of like that being seduced by something that isn't real type thing that he's struggling with. Letitia, whose biggest fear as a person, as a character, is being abandoned. Her mother left her at a young age. She kind of had to fend for herself. She's never been able to be in one place because she doesn't feel like people love her. And she's with Atticus. And Atticus is like, reassures her, hey, I'm never going to leave you, and I'm never going to abandon you. And they stare into each other's eyes, and then they start making out. And then stuff gets spicier, and Atticus takes his shirt off, stands above her, and he starts unbuckling his pants. And then Letitia's kind of like, wait, okay, never mind. Atticus, stop. But then it's kind of like he's in a trance, and he doesn't stop.
It was like just the way he was looking. He was like staring at her, just like, I'm doing the bell buckle. I'm like, bro, relax.
It was very disturbing. But that wasn't even when you think that that's the most disturbing part. He unbuckles his pants, and where do you think his penis would be?
Ew! No, I just played.
An entire rattlesnake comes out and tries to attack Letitia, and she's screaming and yelling, and she can't get away. And Atticus takes her and holds her down, and she grabs a knife, but he's holding her down. That's her nightmare. Atticus, he hears some rattling in a closet. He goes and opens it. So Atticus is a Korean War vet. A little Korean girl jumps out of the closet with a knife and starts whooping. This was hard to watch because Atticus does not want to hurt this girl. It's a child. It's a child who has weapons. He does not want to hurt her, but she is whooping his ass. Like she's slicing him up, cutting him, dicing him. She stabs him in the chest. It goes like,
no. Yeah, she got him in the chest and then started pushing that mug in with her other hand. I was like, yeah, golly, what kind of war tactic is this?
It was to a certain degree where it's like, okay, you kind of have to hit. If you don't at least restrain her, she's gonna kill you. Just slicing, just like, and he's like, stop, I don't want to hurt you, and she keeps slicing and slicing, and he's like, all right, and then he takes her, smacks her in the mouth, throws her over the table, kicks her through throws her over the couch, kicks her through a glass table, gets down on top of her, and starts choking her. And
that was hard to watch. That's just
But at this moment, he's in survival mode, so he's not thinking about like it's a girl or it's a child.
Yeah.
He's thinking about I need to survive, and he's choking and choking and choking and choking and choking and choking and choking, and then he strangles her, and she dies. And he's distraught because he's like, I've killed a child. And I think each of these three things, I believe, is something that each of these characters has struggled with. Atticus doesn't really talk about being a veteran a lot, and I think it's because he probably had to kill kids or kill people that he didn't want to kill. Or Letitia has probably had people that have been like, I want to take care of you, or people that she trusted and be like, I'm going to protect you, I'm never going to leave her, take advantage of her and use her for her body. Mm-hmm. These were both super difficult things to watch because you could see the aftermath and you could see how it affected their psyche.
Yeah.
The one guy that was able to break his was George, and he's like, you're not real, I'm leaving. And as soon as he did that, the force fields that were on the doors vanished, and they were able to come together, and Letitia and Atticus are like rocked. And he has George being the father figure.
It's important to note while this is happening, while they're seeing whatever aberrations this is, literally there's a gang of whites watching them like it's reality television. We see Caroline kind of just walking amongst them. They mentioned, like, they briefly put together, like, there's more to this, like it's more of like there's a group or like an order kind of that is associated with Braithwaite. So it's like we see all these white dudes in suits, and it's just like, yo, they're just watching them like struggle, and they're laughing like, oh, look at them.
Watching a woman almost to get raped, and watching a guy have to kill a child, and watching it like as entertainment. Yeah, it's just it's sick. It's sick thinking about it. So George has to pull them together because they're like, as anyone would be, they're just gone. They're like, oh my goodness. I was like, and he was like, they're obviously doing this to scare us. But if you let them scare you, you let them win. So come on. We got to pull this together. We got to get this together. And he tells Atticus, I was reading this stuff. I have an idea of how we can get out of here. And they go to the dinner that Samuel Braithwaite is hosting with all these white people. Atticus and George are the only black people there. William leans down. He's like, hey, just because they don't want you here doesn't mean you're not supposed to be here. Gives them a pat on the back. I was like, shut up. And Samuel is like, all right, guys, we're all here. Thank you for coming. We've been working towards our goal. And I wanted to share a little something with you. And they go around and they pass these plates out. if you remember, the homie had his organ taken out in the beginning of the episode. They put on these plates bits of the homie's organs.
Oh,
How did you? Side note: how did you feel looking at this homie's spleen on the plate? How did that make you feel?
bro, I was like, this man really thinks he's God or something. It was just like it was just like telling me like this is about to be wild. I didn't know what to expect after that. I knew he kind of it already kind of seemed like he had a bit of a God complex in this sense, and quite literally he was giving parts of his body, like I don't know, like he was
not even figuratively like Jesus did, like where he used bread and wine. He's literally, I'm going to take my organ out of my body and put it on a plate and eat it.
And what's gross is the white who's just like, okay, expected. They probably liked it too. That's what's nasty. They're
probably getting ready to smash if the next thing didn't happen. They were probably like, got any more?
Hey, you say, let me get the other one real quick. I'll stitch you up myself. You know what I'm saying? I need that other spleen.
Yeah. Then George gets up, and he's basically like, all right, guys, I know what's going on there. We know what's going on here. We know that you guys are a part of like a cult type order thing. We know that black in the past, black people have wanted to join it, but they couldn't because they were black. We get that. But we also know that the descendant of Mr. Braithwaite, the first one, has authority. In seeing that Atticus is the last descendant, then Atticus stands up. He's like, I want everybody to get up. These were his words verbatim. He said, I want everybody to get up and get the fuck out. And then they were all like, you could tell they were trying to like, I'm not gonna let this black guy talk to me like this. So they kind of
and I guarantee in their head they black guy.
Yeah. They're like, we're not gonna let him talk to us like
that was yeah.
And then Atticus was like, oh, I said now.
Yeah, you see,
they got all mad. They threw their napkins on. Oh, man.
They had to get out of there. Yeah, bro. Yeah.
That made me laugh. How mad they were. I don't want this black guy talking to me like this, man.
No, I paid all the money to be in this order, and now this black male is telling me I oughta.
And then he looked at Samuel and he was like, my next order is I order you to give me my dad back.
Period.
And he's like, Samuel's like, he basically says, you're making this a lot harder for yourself than you really need to. I'm not trying to be mean, but you're making this difficult. And then they go back to that prison thing that they saw earlier in the episode. And they go down to the basement. And then the racist woman comes with a shotgun. And she's like, I should have known. She said, I should have known you black.
I did this, and you was like, it was just, you could tell both of us don't have experience.
Yeah, we're not out here shooting guns like that. Like a bow and arrow.
Oh my goodness, that was bogus. All right.
Yeah, but she's like, I should have known you black people couldn't keep your nose out of people's business.
What did she say? Like I said, animals or something, beast or something. Yeah, she was saying something like that.
And then Letitia comes in, hey, and smacks her in the head with a shovel. And it's funny, she hits every on the way down the stairs. There's like 5 stairs. She hits every wall, every banister that she possibly should.
boom, 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 boom.
And they're digging. They start digging. They start seeing things that Atticus's dad had, like his flask or his favorite book, and they start digging through the wall for him. And then all of a sudden, you see outside this guy in handcuffs. He's reaching up through the soil.
Yeah.
And then you see his. And remind me of what his Montrose, Atticus's father. See, Montrose reached through the ground. It's like, yeah, I made it. And then George is like, hey, what's up, Montrose? Like, okay, let's go. He's like, I don't need you guys saving me. I got freed by myself.
Low-key, that interaction was kind of weird. Like, it was, I don't know if that was just like Uncle George being cool, but like, he was like, oh, hey, what you doing? Like, it was almost like he was like, oh, Macho, like, I didn't expect to see you come out the ground like that.
Yeah, like casual.
I didn't expect more high urgency. It just seemed like they ran into each other on the street or something.
Yeah, with a little smile on his face, like, hey, Montrose.
Oh, man.
So and of course Montrose is ungrateful and everything.
Yeah.
Atticus is like, you wrote me and told me to come see you. And it's like, okay, that was out of desperation. I really don't give a shit whether you're here or not. And then Atticus is like, okay, you're the same old guy. Just come on and get back to the car. Goodness. They're driving in the car. Letitia's trying to take these handcuffs off. George is trying to explain to Montrose what's going on. Montrose is like, nah. But he's like, really? I don't. And they're driving, and they're about to exit, and then they hit a force field, full force. It destroys the car again. So the car has been destroyed twice. It dismantles the car.
It's tough.
And up behind them pulls up Samuel Braithwaite and Caroline Braithwaite. Samuel has a gun with him. And they all. It's Caroline and Christine.
Is it like? It's either like Christine. I thought
it's Christina. It is Christina. I'm saying Caroline for.
Okay, yeah. It just came to me because, like, I remember when. Okay, yeah. Keep going with the explanation.
Yes. Yeah. So Caroline and her father get out, Christina. And he has a gun with her. Letitia crawls out of the car, and Samuel pops her in the stomach with a bullet. And she's
no hesitation. It was so unexpected. I was like, "Bro, what just happened?"
She's bleeding. She's bleeding rapidly. Atticus is like, "It's okay." He's undoing her shirt, kind of like unbuckling her pants so he can get to the wound and everything. The wound is big. She's coughing up blood.
Oh.
And she dies. You can't save her. And then Samuel's like, all right, I'm gonna let you choose which one you want to live now, since like you're like the leader and everything. You choose. Between Uncle George and his father. And Atticus doesn't say anything. He's like, don't make me make that decision. And then Samuel pops another shot off, and Atticus is like, no, wait! And there's a cut to black. And then we see Atticus completely naked. He's being washed and bathed.
I was so violated by that scene. That just seems so it just seems so like.
Yeah, and Christina comes and just kind of like sits and like stares at him.
I'm like, you know what you're trying to do, Christina? Like, oh, I mean, you gonna go there. I'm not even gonna go there. You know
yeah. And they're getting him ready for the ceremony.
She got jungle fever. Jungle fever.
We see in another room, Letitia wakes up screaming. Uncle George has been shot. Montrose is tending to his wounds. They're talking to Atticus about, like, Christina's talking to Atticus about the ceremony and everything. And she's like, hey, my dad is a man of his word. if you follow through with the ceremony, he's gonna heal, just like he healed Letitia. He will heal Uncle George. And then Atticus is like, okay, fine, whatever. So they're in this ceremony. While they're getting ready to do the ceremony. Go ahead.
You might just started getting into it, but I forgot her first name. Mrs. Smollett, though, she acted her tail off. Cause I guess she was just experiencing hysteria. She just died. And then she came back to life. You know, she was trying to clean the wound, and it was just like you could see just like what the fuck just happened growing in her head, and she was it's like she couldn't handle it. She was like sitting in a corner, like rocking, like just crying, like just guttural noise. It was just, I was just like, whoa.
Yeah. She's struggling to wash the blood stains off of her hands and off of her face.
Off of her mouth, because she was bleeding.
She was bleeding out the mouth, and just blood is all smeared over her face and her mouth.
Please, oh please.
And the blood isn't coming off as quick. She has to use soap, and she's really scrubbing. She's panicking. And they're in a room while Atticus is getting ready to do the ceremony. Montrose and George are having a conversation. George is like, hey, you gotta like make sure you take care of Atticus, all right? Like, he needs you and he loves you. And Atticus is like, okay, for the last time, I don't need you telling me how to take care of my son. And George is like, I'm just saying he might not be yours. And then it's one of those things where someone says something to hint at something and the other guy knows exactly what you mean. And it's like, all right, we already handled that. Shut the hell up. Don't say anything else. He's like, I have to. You may be all that he has left. And he's in. Atticus is in this ceremony ritual type thing. Samuel is chanting along with the other people in this unknown language. Just like almost like Venom type stuff is like coming up and like kind of taking over like Atticus's body.
Yeah, that was bizarre.
Yeah, there's all this like they were summoning something. Atticus starts screaming. A window kind of starts opening in a wall. And we see his great something grandmother.
Yeah.
We see a pregnant black woman who's, it's implied that it's a slave that escaped from the plantation that night. And everyone in the kind of reminiscent of Raiders of the Lost Ark, everyone other than Atticus in the building turns to stone and disintegrates.
That kind of, this part got a little confusing.
Yeah.
I was like, huh? I guess it was cool. I was like, huh? You know what I'm saying?
The building starts collapsing. Letitia, it's like, okay, we got to get out. And then Montrose is like, okay, but if we move George, he's going to bleed out. And then George is like, no, come on, let's go.
Yeah.
Atticus starts chasing the woman who's a fair bit ahead, running through fire, running through the collapsing building. The whole building is coming down. He's running after the woman. And then
it was very reminiscent of how she originally escaped the mansion.
Yes.
There was a fire, so when she was running, like around her, there was like fire, and it was just, I don't know, it was a very powerful scene.
Yeah, and then she turns back around, sees him, smiles, and then vanishes. But he runs straight out of the building. And he's walking, and he sees Letitia, and he tearfully is like, Letitia, and they embrace and everything. But Letitia isn't happy. She's actually very sad, and then she kind of shakes her head. And then they walk over to the car.
Slowly.
and then you see Montrose teary-eyed holding George in his arms. And George has apparently succumbed to his wounds. As we know, Samuel was going to heal George of his wound after the ritual. So he would have probably just let George go ahead and die. If he can bring people back to life, he was probably just going to go ahead and let him die. But since they can't do anything, he ended up dying. And Atticus, Atticus just breaks down. I'm sorry, Uncle George. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And that's how the episode ended. Ended on a very somber note.
Cameron. Let's talk. Montrose. The face he made was just like it was like he was broken.
Yeah.
Atticus. First of all, they're all just A1 actors. Let's just get that out there. Actors and actresses.
Yeah, Jonathan Majors as Atticus is fantastic.
Yeah, he was just oh man, because if y'all remember Uncle George, he's got a family, he's got a wife and a kid. So I mean, it's just a lot to handle. Uncle George died in Montrose's like arms, and he was just kind of sitting there with the life. It was hard to watch. And then they was playing "Take Me to Your River, I Wanna Go." It was a whole sad thing, man. It was.
Yeah. But that brings us to the end of the second episode of Lovecraft Country. I am interested in seeing, as I assume you guys are as well, what happens next. Uncle George was low-key one of my favorite characters, so if he really is just dead now, I'm sad.
Me too, bro.
It was a really hard for someone who was only in like, I guess 2 episodes. His death really hit. It was very well done to the point where you felt the emotion. It wasn't just like some random person dying that you didn't care about.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, and I hope even if y'all don't got HBO Max, you know what I'm saying, I'm jacking off Cameron's account, so that's how I'm watching it. Even if y'all don't got it, you know what I'm saying, even if y'all not watching along, I hope at least us breaking it down, you know what I'm saying, a little bit. We're not hitting every single detail, so if y'all want to get the full details, of course, go watch it. Of course, watch it with us, please. But yeah, I hope, just us breaking it down a little bit, it gives y'all a semblance of what we watching, and that this is high quality television, man, for real.
I think it's definitely 100% recommended from the both of us. So if you haven't been watching, you should 100% watch it. All right. Well, with that, I believe it brings us to the end of today's episode. Shane, is there anything you want to say to the viewers before we say goodbye?
Hey, show some support, you know what I'm saying? And make sure to let some friends know about it. We trying to spread love. We trying to spread some positivity. Trying to be entertainers. We're having just as fun making it as I hope you guys are watching it. We really just having a good time. That's all this is. Hopefully we can grow from it, but really, if we just got to keep going, we got a smooth 12 subscribers. Shout out to them, you know what I'm saying? Hey. So it's we just build it. We two creators. We love doing what we doing. We love just talking. So just show some love, man, and I appreciate it too.
Yeah, we both really appreciate everyone who has given time to watching us and coming with us on this journey, and we only want to do more, and we only want to give you guys more content to enjoy. So with that said, if you're watching along with us, episode 3 next week, we will continue along with some new discussion points for next week's episode. So when you come in, you can watch some get some more interesting discussions and perspectives from Shane and I. But as of today, and as for the Cameron Collins Collective,
Real quick, and if y'all want to, you know what I'm saying? If y'all like, hey, I want to see y'all top 5 in this. Let us know if y'all want to see a specific top 5. You know, we gonna keep coming regardless. But if y'all want to see a specific one, let us know.
Yeah, we are 100% open to suggestions.
Our social media, our Instagram is in the description. So, you know, reach out to either of us. You know, let's get in contact. Let us know you liking the show, enjoying yourself. Cameron, take it away, my friend.
All right, from Cameron Graham and my homie,
Shane.
as always, Shane Collins. My homie for life. Literally for life.
Love, much love, you know what I'm saying? Hearts.
Goodbye, everyone. Thank you for joining us for yet another episode. We will see you next week. Have a good week, guys.